Here we'll take a look at how we do the UI for this shop. First, I want you to make sure you have a canvas that's set to its UI scale mode to scale with screen size, and then I always use Full HD as my reference resolution. That'll make it scale based on your screen size. Okay. Here we'll see that I'm in Full HD here in the game panel. But if I switch it to ultra wide, you can see that this image overlaps one of the other ones. So we'll take a look at why it did that. Normally, if you've got your anchors set up properly, then it won't do that. Now I've got all this wallet information inside of a container, and that container is set up into this right corner. All right, you can see that the anchors don't overlap any other anchors. However, this background image is not set to stretch. Okay, and it's set where it wasn't filling the parent object's container. Okay, so if you fix that, you'll be able to scale it with whatever the screen size is. It doesn't really matter, and that'll look pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how to start from zero. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this down just in case I mess this up. I'll have it later. All right, so I'm creating a new game object. I'm going to call this a shop container again. And then I'm going to make sure that I stretch all my anchors out. Let's get in scene mode so I can see what I'm doing here. Go to 2D and zoom out to where the anchors are. So we are going to occupy the entire space on this canvas. Let's take a look at that. There we go. Okay, so here we see the canvas. We're going to stretch to the edges. We're going to stretch the anchors to the edges of the canvas. Okay, and then we will stretch the game object so that it occupies the entire screen. All right, now we will create a panel to be the backdrop to this shop UI. I'm going to change my anchors and just put it right there in the middle. So I'm trying to not overlap that with my mining UI, my player wallet UI. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just say that this is 10% away from the left side and 10% away from the right side, and then maybe 10%. Well, let's say 20% away. 20% away from the bottom and 10% away from the top. All right, so that's how you use the anchors. We go a little bit higher on the bottom. Okay, let's put in two scroll fields, scroll views. Okay, so this will contain our inventories, the shop inventory and then the player's inventory. And then we'll give these titles. We can put these into objects. I think that'll work better for us so that we can move them around a little bit easier. All right, so let's get some anchors here. Doesn't look too bad. Alrighty, and then we'll just zero that out. Okay, now I'm going to put my scroll view into that object, and it'll occupy. Let's stretch it, and then we'll say, okay, maybe it's 15 from the left, 15 from the right, 10 from the bottom, and 10 from the top. Actually, I want it to be further from the top because I want to have a title in here. So I will move that down and then move my anchors down. So that looks okay. We'll put an image in to be the backdrop to our title, to the text that's going to say players items. Okay, so we'll call this something like title background. And then we'll put a right-click UI TextMeshPro. If you don't have TextMeshPro, just use text. I put these in the middle. I'm going to say players items. Okay. You could stretch that out. Actually, you probably should. And that looks pretty good in the middle there, but you could stretch it further. So let's say inventory container. Remember, we got two inventories. We get the player's inventory and then the shop's inventory. So we'll just duplicate that, move it over here, and call it we'll put in the title shops items. Alrighty, so that looks okay. That'll work for now. And then in the top of this panel, I'm going to put in another image, and that'll be the title of the shop. You could dynamically say put this in the name. Let's go ahead and do that real quickly. So we'll have shop UI, TextMeshPro, UGUI, title of shop, I guess. Okay, so when we set the shop, we're going to go ahead and set the name of the shop here. So title of shop.text equals shop.name, and that's it. Okay. And then we'll need to reference that, right? We'll need to plug in and play that. Okay, so we can actually go ahead and put our shop UI on here right now. And that'll be the information that's on the right, on the scroll view on the right here. And let's make sure that we get our anchors over there. So using these anchors is going to keep your objects in that area. Okay, so they won't expand past those anchors. Okay, so let's go back to our container. Let's put in the inventory UI here. Alright, so our slot prefab for both of these is going to be the shop item slot UI. And then the holder object is the, we're not going to use it. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We'll call this a shop container. It doesn't really matter. This is what would be disabled were we to disable these things. But we aren't disabling it. We're just going to put this in there so we don't get null references. Now, we do need the content parent because this is what's going to hold our our shop slot UIs. Okay, so let's just make sure that I put these in properly. Okay, so shop UI, okay, container, content, and we're actually in the correct one. Now let's make sure that we did that for the other one. Good. So the inventory container is holding our slot holder here. Okay. Now the inventory we don't need to set up. Actually, we do. We need to plug in our player's inventory here. Okay, because it's displaying the player's items. Okay, and then the item action that we're using here is the sell to shop action. And on the shop UI, remember that we need to set the title of the shop, and that's the, let's call this the title image background. And this is the title text. Oops, that's fine. Okay, and then our shopper is our player. So we'll pop that in there. These are both inventories. Okay. So let's make sure that that title text is in the center of the image. Oops. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the image right now. So we'll make sure that that goes into the top here. Okay, and then our title text will expand to the edges of that image. I'm going to go ahead and zero this one out. I'm going to make sure it's in the center, and I'm going to give it a auto size, dynamic size. Okay. Title goes here, just in case we didn't plug things in right. We'll know that things went wrong if we see title goes here. Okay. Now this should work. We want to have the wallet for the shop though. So we'll go in there, we will add another image, we'll put it up here at the right. We'll make sure that we're not overlaying any other anchors or whatever. We'll try to line it up with that title image, and then we're gonna go ahead and change the anchors so it'll occupy this top right part. I'll put another image in there for my little piggy bank. I'm going to put this, these anchors about 2.445. Okay, and zero this out so it works. So wallet, background image, and then money icon, I guess. And then we'll put in now a couple of texts. So I have the title of the wallet holder here at the top. We'll make sure not to expand over the money icon. We'll expand the anchors to the edges here. Zero this out. Whoops. What happened there? What is that about? Huh. Alright, I don't know why I did that. Okay. Let's duplicate that and make this our money text, and we're going to move those anchors down while we've got this object selected, and I'm going to rename these to title text and money text. Okay, so let's put these in the center and make sure that they have auto sizing on. Make them bigger. Alrighty. Looks pretty good. Alright, now for our money icon, I'm just going to use a free icon I got from flaticon.com. Okay, so I get this little wallet, put that there. I'll put the wood board behind on that main image, on that background image. Doesn't look too bad, doesn't look great, doesn't look bad. Alright, and then on all these other title images, I'm going to go ahead and put the light wood board. And then on the panel background, I'm going to put the dark wood board. It looks okay. And then on these scroll boards, we don't need the horizontal one. On the content, we do need grid layout group. And then we're going to change the cell size from 100 to 140. And that should work. Let's make sure we got all our scripts plugged in. Alright, we'll save, press play. This won't work because it's on. I want to turn that off, and then we'll go to the shop. Alrighty. Didn't work. So what's the problem? Okay, so the holder object that we need to use is actually the main panel. Okay, so this will be used when we're doing on enter and on exit, and that's what this is the object that gets turned on and off. So now it'll work. Perfect. Alrighty. Looks good. This is the brand new one that we came up with, so you can see it's not that hard to create this kind of UI. If you guys have any questions, if you want to see different content or have an idea for me, go ahead and let me know. I hope this video has helped you out. All these assets that I use were free, so I'll give you links in the description to what these were. I did say that we would create the shop slot UI, so let's go ahead and do that really quickly. Okay, let's go back into 2D mode. We're going to need couple of things. Let's go ahead and do this on the content here. I would start it in a empty game object. I'm going to put it in a slot container, I guess. Okay, and the content will automatically size that for you, so you don't need to do anything about that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put in a button, and this is going to be the button that you use to do whatever that item action is. Alright, so I'm going to use about that space, so I'm going to go ahead and move my anchors into that space. If you change the size of the buttons or whatever, it'll automatically adjust based on those anchors. Whereas if I didn't have the anchors, let's see if they can do that, then I don't think it would work quite as well. Yeah, so I'm changing the size and it doesn't dynamically change with me. Alright, so make sure that you're using anchors and then stretching with the anchors on these UI elements. Alright, so I get that button, that's my use button. I'm going to create two images. These are background images, one's for the name and one's for the price. So I'll just duplicate this. Make sure that they have anchors near the bottom. Zoom in slightly. Okay, just gonna make sure that it's just a little bit off the edges. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom one. Drag these up to the bottom of the name image. Alright, and then I'm gonna pop a standard UI asset on here. Just use the UI sprite, that looks pretty decent. Alright, and I'm going to put in a TextMeshPro on both of these. TextMeshPro text. I will stretch, make sure to zero these out. Center them, auto size, make sure the auto size works. And then I'll call this, let's say, name text. And then I'll call this something like price text. Now we need a count for the items that we have or the items that we could have. Alright, so I need another image. I'm going to put it all the way down here at the bottom corner. Oops. Leave that in the center. Okay, so that's about where I want it to be. I'm going to move my anchors there. I'm going to make sure to pad it from this side. So I'll give it a 2 or 3 padding from the side, and then 0 from the top and left. Okay, and then I'm going to put in that same standard UI sprite. Okay, and then now I'm going to put on there another TextMeshPro text, resize it, something really small, make sure I center it, and I'm going to set it to something like a bunch. Go ahead and make sure you stretch the anchors and zero it out. Alright, so if you can't see it like this and you see that it goes over the edges, then maybe you want to try padding. Alright, that doesn't look too bad. And it'll never get up to that number. I mean, if you have a reasonable game, it's probably not going to get up to that number. Right? Actually, I like to put this over here to the right, to the edge. Okay, so we'll call this the count text. And we will put the slot, shop slot UI on here. We're going to put our button in the item button, name text, count text, price text, and then the item icon is actually the same image as the image component on the button. Alright, so now that's it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it's helped you guys out. Like I said, all the stuff is in my GitHub. If you have suggestions or complaints or whatever, just let me know. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this. Thanks a lot.